So if you come to sitting on your mat, lying on your mat, whatever feels comfortable for you. And then just take a moment to connect in with your breath. So breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. When you bring your attention to your breath, I want you to try and bring your attention to your exhale. So that your inhale becomes almost like the automatic part that has to happen, but the exhale is what we're concentrating on. And as you're exhaling, just see, can you extend that exhale a bit longer? Really feeling those abdominal muscles. Do you want blocks to sit on, Valerie? So really feeling those abdominal muscles in your exhale. Focusing on your exhale is what turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's our rest and digest. Takes us out of that fight or flight response. All that cortisol that we have from always rushing around. Getting up at 6 in the morning to go to Tesco's. And that's really the whole point of yoga, is being able to tap into that rest and digest. And then when you're ready, we're going to take that to lying on our backs if we're not already lying down. Bringing your knees bent and your feet flat to the floor. I'm just going to use that exhale to direct that motion of our legs. So on every exhale, we're taking our legs one way and then the other. As we're doing this, we're learning to let our breath direct the movement of our body. And the next time your legs go to the right, just let them go as far as they want to. We're just going to stay there for at least 3 long breaths. Stay there for as long as feels nice before we take that back to centre and then over to the left. Stay there for at least 3 breaths before we bring that back to centre. And then you might want to bring your knees into your chest, rolling that lower back. Roll. We're going to place our feet back down. Crossing our left ankle over our right knee. We're going to take the sole of that left foot over to the right, down towards the floor. Going as far as it feels comfortable for you. Let me know if anyone wants to block for their foot. It doesn't matter what's happening with the top of your body. If your shoulder wants to come off that mat, that's fine. And then bringing that back to centre, keeping that ankle crossed over. We're just going to lift that right leg, just hold that off the floor. And then we're going to take that right leg out and then back in again. So what I want you to do is try and focus on your hips and keeping your hips neutral. So you're going to have to move slowly. So the theme of today is moving as though you're moving through honey. So rather than kind of moving fluidly, imagine that you've got some viscosity, something pushing against as you're moving. And what you'll notice is that that pelvis tilts as you move. Let's find that comfortable position of neutral, so it's not too flattened towards the floor, it's not too arched. Let's find that position and then try and keep that position as we're going in and out. You can bring the heel of that right foot to the floor and slide that along the mat if that feels more comfortable for you. It's not easy to slide on yoga mats. Lovely. So you might only get your leg, you might not get your leg fully straight. And then let's stretch that right leg out. Ignore what's happening with your hips, your pelvis, and just rest with that left leg crossed over the right. Bringing that back, uncrossing that left leg. And you might just want to take a couple of breaths here in a neutral position, or bringing these knees into the chest. Rolling round on that lower back. And then we're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee. Let yourself settle in that position before we're taking the sole of that right foot over to the floor. Staying there for at least 3 breaths and bringing that back to centre. Finding that neutral spine before picking up that left leg. That actually might be enough. You might just want to bring that foot down and lift it up again. Or if you can, feels comfortable, start stretching that left leg along the mat and then bringing it back in. So we're moving through honey and we're trying to focus on keeping these hips, pelvis in neutral position. You probably feel like there's a lot of work going on in your abs and your legs as well. Or if you want to, bringing that heel onto the mat. And eventually straightening that leg out along the mat and resting. Before uncrossing that leg, joining your right leg and your left leg outstretched on the mat. Taking a breath in, raising your arms to the ceiling and exhaling them overhead. And bringing those arms back. Bending those knees and rolling over onto one side. Staying here for a couple of breaths. Before then bringing ourselves into a seated position. We're going to be cross-legged. Does anyone want a block to sit on? No? I'm going to get one. No one's saying anything, everyone's making sure that they're completely silent.
Oh, I'm just against that.
1 or 2?
2, thank you.
Leo,
I've never seen you so quiet. Just sit. Yeah, just sit in.
So sitting in a cross-legged position, you probably want to just sit here for a moment and let your hips kind of come back to neutral after all that moving about. And we're going to bring one hand beside us, raising the other arm, and then taking that into a side stretch. So really feeling this side of your body, rooting that hip down. So we're not going all the way over, we're keeping that hip. This hip's almost pulling towards the floor, and then the stretch is coming from like your mid ribs. And then taking that over to the other side. And a little challenge for anyone whose shoulder is right by their ear. Just see, can you bend that arm, roll that shoulder down. So you've got some space here between that shoulder and that ear. Sometimes when we go sideways, our shoulder has a tendency to come up to our ear. Let's just challenge ourselves, try and pull that down. When I first started yoga, that was one of the things my yoga teacher used to say to me. She said my shoulders were like this the whole time. And I'd feel like I was moving them as much as I could, and they'd move like this. And it took years for me to be able to really pull them down. So then we're just going to bring our fingertips in front of us and just begin to walk those fingertips forward. So if it's pulling too much on your lower back, then just ease off. But as you're there for a couple of breaths, you might find that you can go a little bit further. So we're trying to move, bending from our waist, our hips. If you feel like there's not enough room for you, you can open your legs and you can come this way. Or bring your legs, bring your feet into this position. Bring that back whenever you're ready. So we're going to come into kneeling on hands and knees. So just in our cat-cow position. So on our exhale, we're tucking that tail between our legs, pushing through our arms, rounding our back, and looking between our arms. And on our inhale, flicking our tail towards the sky, rolling those shoulders down our back, and then looking forward. And if you want to, you find a position particularly nice, you can stay there for a bit longer. It can be as dynamic or static as you like. As long as you're beginning to feel some movement. You don't have to just kind of go forward and backwards in a linear movement. If you want to, you can take that, your hips in a full circle, and see how that feels. And then eventually we're going to come back to our kind of neutral spine tabletop position, and then we're going to move one knee forward. So we're kind of getting ready for our going towards our pigeon, but instead of going all the way in, we're just going to move one leg forward, seeing if we can bring our weight up and taking that arm up to the ceiling. Sliding that back. You can try that on the other side, so sliding that knee forward, coming up, and raising that arm. You can even take that in a circle if you want to. So I feel like we're a bit on tram lines here, aren't we? Kind of just forward and backwards. Taking that left and right. It's a nice little balance this, isn't it? Trying to come up into this position. And when you're here, just seeing, can you roll those shoulders back down? Create some space in your neck. And then when you've had enough of that, you can take your toes together, knees to the outside edge of the mat, and push back. Pull it in a restful child's pose. Well, that feels a bit hot today. Sitting back on your heels. Just finding a position that feels comfortable where you can rest. So, from here, when we're ready, what we're going to do is we're going to take ourselves into downward dog, and then we're going to be doing a bit of a dynamic half in going from downward dog into our pigeon and then back out again. So if I show you, you can just have a rest and watch me for a moment. So finding your comfortable position in downward dog, and we're just taking this into our pigeon and then back into downward dog. Our pigeon. And if you want to, you can have a little moment's rest here. But we're going to do 5 on each side. And then, after we've done 5, we can actually come into our pigeon for an actual restful pose.